minutes from the last meeting, which was March 12th this year. Hopefully everyone has had an opportunity to look them over. I know Dave and Paige, you weren't here.
Right.
No.
But with that, as I'm the only person that was here, I will make a motion to approve the minutes as presented. Just need a second.
I will second.
Thank you. We have a motion and a second on the floor. Any discussion? All those in favor signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Those opposed will approve the minutes of March 12th. We have 3 discussion items this evening. The first being picnic tables in city-owned green space downtown. I did have an opportunity to meet with Mike, talk a little bit about this topic. I have some questions as to who brought forth this request. And depending on that answer, may guide our discussion this evening. I know Mike has also worked to put together some costs and impact that it would have on our Public Works Department and those type of things. So Mike, I'd be happy to turn the floor over to you if you're ready.
Well, I didn't put any cost or any of that together. The impact, as we look at it, would be placing tables there. We would have to have 2 people there to move the tables so they can be mowed. We would also have to mow with a hand mower instead of the rider. What about sanitization of the tables? What about debris laying around? It's gonna happen. What about vandalism? It is a low light area. In fact, there is no light there. You know, it does impact apartment cost and time for people to do stuff. So it is a public piece of property, the city's property. Do we have other areas that then all of a sudden we start opening up a can of worms for other areas? I did talk to Jolene when I went to Fond du Lac to the sheriff's office this week. I think that was Tuesday. And it was mentioned, and here she is, and maybe she can speak to that. The request, I think.
Not a member of the committee.
Can't speak during discussion?
Public comment.
Oh, I thought we could. We can't. Okay.
It's on the agenda, so I think if it's on the agenda,
I don't know the ruling
Is an
of the
agenda
official
item?
ruling.
Then I'll speak for her,
okay.
and she can nod her head yes or no. My understanding is it came as a Main Street request. And I did talk a little bit, okay, I did talk to Jolene Tuesday, and we talked about, well, perhaps Main Street could lease that spot for a nominal, very low nominal fee and take care of it themselves. Lori and I did talk a little bit about it, and this request has been there before, or you have offered that to them before?
It has come up in the past, but nothing has ever been formalized or agreed upon.
So, did you have any thoughts on that, Al?
Well, you and I had talked about that, you know, and you know, those type of things. I mean, that's doable. You've got, you know, you even need certificate of insurance, you know, proper liability insurance, all of those things. You know, we'd have to execute some type of lease, although it could be, you know, for the mere price of $1. But then they would, you know, Main Street would be the one responsible for, you know, the mowing, you know, the conversation. I also talked with Chief Wallner on Wednesday, and while the chief doesn't see any real issues with that, it's when the sun sets that could pose some issues as a congregating, loitering point, those type of things. And his take on it was, if things start to happen there, things may have to change due to public safety and those things. So that's where we sit. I guess if we're gonna break the rules, the chair might as well break the rules. Jolene, do you have anything you want to say on it?
Well, I appreciate you saying that. I am curious to know what the rules are in the future so that I can appropriately, address or be here to answer questions. I guess I will say that the request to have more seating downtown, specifically maybe just one picnic table in the city-owned property that is next to, Crop Paper Scissors or the American House right there. It did not necessarily come directly as an initiative from Ripon Main Street. It came from people in the community, my constituents, who said, I wish there was more seating downtown, and also people that are concerned about the current pandemic, and kind of a statement by the city saying that we appreciate having, being outdoors versus in enclosed. This is not something that I'm extremely, that has to happen. I just think that we have a green space there. In the past, I know years ago there was a picnic table there. I think that if there were issues, obviously we could remove it. I assume we could put something in place where if there was trash or people loitering in a way that seemed unsafe, I assume that could be removed. I don't know what kind of language would need to go into a decision to just make that happen without having to go through, I assume, a committee decision and then, approval to remove if it's an issue. So it also is in support, Jason Mansmith of the Chamber is in support of this. I think long-term there should be more of a plan for what the space looks like, and I think perhaps having Main Street, rent that could be an idea. I think this is just simply asking if we want to have a picnic table in a space downtown, and I think in the future there probably should be more planning.
We have benches downtown that are main streets that have deteriorated, that we've pulled from by Jay's. Sitting down there, Main Street could refurbish those and place them out in sidewalks or terrace area for seating. They own these. I had to pull them out because they're dangerous. And there's at least 2 of those. So we talk about seating, that's an option for them too. It's their benches.
If I may, being a member of the Main Street Board and the Beautification Committee, I know, gosh, it was probably November the last time it was at least discussed in a large matter, but the Rotary Square downtown. I don't know what's going on with that now. Obviously, discussions have led elsewhere with summer plans being changed and such. But I do know that there were thoughts in place of different options for seating, whether it's benches or tables and chairs. So I don't know where that's at, but now I also think I think every dining place downtown now has outdoor seating. I believe as recent as the past 2 weeks, plus benches. So, just with that green space being, moving it, mowing it, risks. I don't know. My thought is, if people are bringing food from somewhere other than purchasing it downtown, there are benches and possibly tables going to be put in the future down there. So I don't know if really what adding a picnic table would, for usage overall.
and you're right to the point that the restaurants have an opportunity to have outside seating there at their place. Even to go so far as having, what does Dave have in front of us there? With the
Yeah.
extended cafe, sidewalk cafe, and stuff. So those opportunities are there for those businesses to expand their areas and then keep their food and beverages in that area. That's kind of how I was looking at that too. So every time we add something to this department, it becomes an issue. Expectations continue to grow and people in budget continue to shrink. That's my concern.
I'm wondering if it would pay to get, perhaps at our next meeting, to get, and again, it may not be a possible, something that could be done in 2020, because this is just not a normal year anyway, but maybe to do some planning with this committee to look to the future and how those things could be accomplished, and how, you know, it could be a collaborative effort between the chamber, between the Main Street organization, between the bid district, between the city, to all come together to, you know, use those spaces, keep them, you know.
Use them wisely.
Use them wisely, keep them attractive. You know, I just drove through on the way here, and they're nice spaces. You know, and of course, we'd sell them if people wanted to build a building there. But until that point, maybe that's something we could do and begin to develop a plan moving forward that would, again, be that collaborative group and benefit a lot of people. I mean, maybe, you know, somebody wants to put a taco truck and drive it in there, I don't know. But certainly there, you know, there'd be opportunity. Would that be acceptable to the body?
I'm fine.
Yeah.
Yeah, I think, and I think I told Jolene this, I know I told her that there appears to be some disconnect between Main Street and the city, and I don't know how to bridge that gap. But I think if everybody's working on the same page, it makes things a lot easier. I'm not sure what they're doing at Rotary Square either.
Yeah.
I know when I talked to Craig early in the year, he says, take the trees out. I says, yep, I can do that. They were out, and who got the brunt of that one? But I think there is some refurbishing that is going on there. I think from talking to Craig, I think some of the plan was to do some landscaping and some things there, but I don't know the extent of any of that there. And Rotary kind of takes that over and does that. We maintain the grass there and stuff.
Yeah.
So it is the city's property still. So we still maintain that.
And I know that we've discussed on the Main Street Board, like, trying to bridge that gap of, especially with downtown. I mean, I've been here 8 years, and this downtown is completely different than what it was in. So, you know, maybe these are ways to try to figure out, you know, what we can do to best utilize all resources and brains available, I guess.
Well, if that's the direction we want to move, I'd be happy to, you know, sit with Jason and Craig and just say, listen, you know, we'd like to invite you to come to the next Public Works meeting. We'll identify some time in the agenda and maybe do some brainstorming on, you know, how we could collaboratively work together to, you know, effectively use those spaces and not burden any of the parties that are involved, so, or overburden. Sound good?
That sounds very good.
Okay. Any more discussion on, Jolene, anything?
No, thank you.
Okay. Mayor? Okay. All right. So we will do that, and I will keep everybody posted on those activities, so. Next item, bicycle rack downtown.
So Howard had a request for a bicycle rack downtown, mainly due to the great business the ice cream shop is getting, and bicycles are there and things like that. So he had thought about having it over on the American House side, or that side. Lori and I talked, and we felt that building possibly could be sold, that it might be, who knows, it might be better to be on the other side. So placement is really the issue here. We have one, it has to be put, the holes have to be cut in the cement and then put in the cement, and it can be put in with some stone around that, but really it comes down to placement. If it's for specifically aligned to help with the bicycles in the ice cream shop, it would really do no good across the street. That's just not gonna work. So it really comes down to as close to where them bicycles end up on the ground. And that's of course my opinion. So it would be where the placement would go for that would be where we would like to know.
And
I have no problem putting it in, it's just, what's the best spot for
Yeah.
it?
So
And-
you do have one.
We have one that we pulled out of the NFL building because Tom Rogers bought that and he didn't want it there.
Okay.
So there is one, okay?
And then placement would obviously, I'm assuming as far as, like snow removal on the sidewalks, that's still.
It would have to stay there.
Right.
This particular
But
one,
but it's pretty thin, right? It's not like it's like an extending rack, it would be like I don't know.
I should have took a picture.
That's okay.
It's,
But it's not like it's gonna take up 3 feet wide on a 6 foot
no,
spread.
it's probably only this wide.
Okay,
And I don't remove the snow from
Yeah.
the sidewalks. That was something that Craig T-Bond
yeah, and we've got the big,
would have to
right,
maybe give some input also.
yeah.
I can make it, we could modify it so it doesn't strictly go in the ground, that it could sit there, and then perhaps it gets removed.
Okay. 'Cause I'm just
at
thinking
some
snow,
point.
icy snow would just build up within the,
Yep,
and depending on the winter.
and that could be a problem for a business.
Right,
Mhm. It wouldn't be so easy to get that snow around that
Yeah.
off.
and then who knows how long it would be there. Into May,
So, whatever, if we want a certain spot for it, we want it modified so it has, so I take the posts off instead of drilling holes in the cement, then you could probably move it wherever we wanted.
Remove it for the winter,
Or remove it for the winter, I mean, if that's what we wanted to do.
Well, it sounds like Main Street might be a valuable resource to talk about placement of that in an
Yeah.
advantageous spot. All in with the snow, because they do the snow removal,
Correct.
and those
They
type
get
of
it past
things.
the curb.
And that, they have, Mr. Heimbaugh, in the summer, watering trees and flowers and with the Kubota, and, he needs room to get around with that too, so, maybe we have 2 items that we can discuss with the, those representatives when we get together again. Anything else on that particular topic? Dump tickets.
So, to explain, and you might know how the system works, but to explain how they work is, Lisa makes up dump tickets, and they're little tickets about this big, okay? For use at the compost site, and each of them are numbered, all right? And then they're brought to City Hall, whether they're going to Ace, Pick and Save, or staying at City Hall. When they go to Ace and Pick and Save, they come in, they give us money for the amount they're picking up, then they go back. When they're sold, they are used at the compost site, and Carlon collects them, and then they're brought down to DPW, and the number is checked off as being used. Lisa destroys them at that point. Prior to that, we've seen tickets used twice that have been marked off. So I think we need to make a change on some of the processes here. And this is a list of what we've collected, and we have some that are out there for an extended period of time. We've taken them all in. We started, what really triggered this the last time is we asked whoever's bringing them to sign the back of them with their name and address on these older tickets. It just so happens that the person that brought 4 of them in last weekend is friends with Lisa. But these were sold, you might see them on there back in 16. So we were able to track down where they came from, kind of. So, but what we would like to see for a change in the ticket policy, well, it's due to the fact that there appears to be some of the older disposal tickets being reused. Okay. So the older ones are $15. So if residents do have an old ticket in their possession, they can come down to DPW office and turn the old ticket in, and that will apply towards a $25 ticket, a credit of $15. If it has not been used. So they would then have to pay the extra $10 to upgrade to the new fee. You don't have to do it that way, I'm just saying. So as of today, she has 155 old tickets that have not been used.
155 tickets at $15 each. Okay.
So what we're trying to do is make sure we get that we take this issue out of the equation, I guess, of being reused.
I'm confused on the, I've never used one, so you buy a ticket,
Yep.
don't you give it to the guy, throw your stuff and leave?
Yep.
So how are they getting reused?
I don't want to elaborate on that right now.
Okay, so there's issues with them changing hands.
I don't think I should say what my speculation is.
Okay.
Okay? But all I can say is it's not happening since Lisa's been here.
So this is something that used to happen that is now stopped.
That is correct.
happening.
That is correct.
So now, since it seems that that has been contained, is there concern with having a system that like prevents it further from happening, like a barcode or something?
We're still looking at some of that.
Okay.
You know, are they being copied? I don't know. Can we emboss them with something that can't be embossed? Possibly. Yes, there can be other corrective actions put into place. Can they be made at City Hall? Can there be double checks in place to ensure it doesn't happen again? And that's typically a corrective action
Yeah.
that maybe that you use in accounting when auditors come in. So there still can be other things put in place
Okay.
to ensure that they aren't getting
Double used.
double used or whatever.
Okay. There's no pass back, if you will, in some capacity.
Yes,
Okay.
I don't,
So then the other main, I guess, topic would be those 155 unused old tickets that making sure that people know that they can't just use that one, that it
Right.
needs, okay. And a lot of those are probably misplaced, or who knows?
they go back to 2010,
Oh, okay,
so some of them could have got lost in the shuffle.
okay.
Yeah.
Yes,
So, they've purchased the tickets. The revenue is in the barn. Correct?
correct.
If they don't use the ticket, the city is not out anything.
That's correct.
If they do use the ticket and it is an old one in our, our gentlemen that work out there collect that ticket, they know it's an old one. We understand.
Yep, because we've changed colors
Right.
this year.
But it's almost like a dual, we start now, or when you did it this year, anything prior to, well, okay, we understand that. It's kind of like when I served on the chamber board of directors, chamber bucks,
Yes.
okay? It's a very similar, people would give chamber bucks out for a gift. The money was already collected, and they lose them, forget them, not use them, whatever it may be. So there's no loss financially on that. If there's an issue with tickets being, shall we say, recycled, you have a system now in place to prevent that. So is it just, if we do receive, I bought this in 2010 and 21 years later, 20 years, or 10 years later, I've got a chair that's got to go in the dumpster.
Yeah.
Bless your heart for keeping it, and remembering where it was,
For
Have
keeping
at
the
it.
chair.
Chair might be worth more than the ticket, but,
I agree.
We've developed a new system, we can look at it. How effective is the selling them off-site versus selling them here at City Hall?
It's very well at
Okay.
off-site, Pick and Save and Ace do mark them up $1 as a convenience fee, so they are $26. And I deliver a lot. I'm the mailman to bring them up here, and I'll tell you, there's a lot of them sold at Ace and Pick and Save.
Beautiful.
Mhm.
And we need to be thankful for them
Yep.
doing that as outlet center
Yep.
for the, I don't know,
So what you're saying, Al, is we should honor the ticket of the $15. But can we ensure that it hasn't been used twice? Or do we just call it as, oh, it happened?
I mean, it'd be hard to, I think I have a conversation every Saturday morning with the gentleman out there, and they do a great job, don't get
He
me
does.
wrong.
I sat there with
I
him.
mean, they're
Take out of him.
He does.
phenomenal,
Oh, yeah.
just
Yeah.
phenomenal, you know, and what's his name? I know some
Carlin.
Phil,
Carlin.
yeah, I mean, the gentleman is phenomenal.
He is.
Yeah.
And, great customer service, does an excellent job.
Yep.
You know, I mean, but he's pretty busy. He's got a lot of stuff going on, you know, and those things. Yeah, you know, it might have happened, the recycling of the tickets, but, jeepers.
It's just a little strange that they came into the office and were highlighted off.
Okay.
Now they came back in and it was highlighted as used.
Okay.
So
And
we don't have to do anything. I'm just saying that
In my mind, are you comfortable with the new system? And the accounting and the
I'm very comfortable with the person doing it, yes.
and the person doing it and the system itself?
The system pretty good. I think that there is still room for improvement on the system. Yes. And we can look at those changes.
So the $10 increase per ticket, is that due to like a higher cost to just, okay, so if all 155 tickets are still first time valid and all of them get used and we're out that $10 per ticket if they were just honored, then that creates,
I mean, there's a buffer in that
Okay.
25. Sometimes you win because it's on weight.
Yeah.
Sometimes you lose. Okay, a mattress doesn't weigh that much, but if they bring in something heavier, that weighs a little
Right.
more. It's.
Okay.
Be the law of averages.
yeah.
Yep.
Yeah. Just wanted to bring it up,
No, I appreciate that.
so.
What about expiration dates?
Expiration dates? Thank you. Yeah, we did kind of talk about that a little bit.
Might not be a half bad idea.
We
The
did,
chamber put expiration dates
Yes,
on theirs,
they
didn't
did.
they?
we did talk about,
And it's printed right on there.
On the ticket. yeah.
It's an annual, if you, I think if you buy one
Good for
on
you.
December 24th, you may have only 6 days to use it.
we did talk about them running, annually. And then we talked about, and I think we had the conversation with Ted a little bit, is, expiration, this color is only good for 2020. We start a new color, but that means then I would go collect an exchange from Pick and Save, or Ace, or City Hall, and bring those back in and get rid of them. So, there are other ways to do that. Expiration, if you go annually,
The heaviest usage of the tickets is probably in the spring, summer, and early fall months. Is that accurate, Mike?
I'm not sure if we track. She does track when they come in. So I cannot, you can see on here, it tells when it was issued and when it was used. So she does track that. I don't have that data.
When does our
But-
recycling center close?
We go down to one day in, is it November-ish?
Yeah.
And open back up in May-ish, April-ish, weather dependent.
So the tickets would be for sale in that window of time.
They're for sale all year round.
Okay,
Mhm.
great.
Yep. Yep.
So, I'm a consumer, I know that the recycling center, compost center is closing in November 15th, let's just say. I know that I'm probably gonna not buy a ticket at that point, unless I'm gonna give it out for gifts for, people. But if they expire in that year, and as of January 1st, you can buy tickets for 2021, we should be able to get that message out, and people can purchase them and then use them, and if they don't use them in 2021, they expire.
It is still open 1 day a week, so it doesn't completely close, but just a discussion on it.
Well, I do like the expiration date concept.
Probably is not a bad thing.
And if you look at, them being on a card with a color, those can be printed locally,
We are double side printing them now, so we have changed some of that also.
even that.
Yep, I know.
I mean, it's not that unreasonable to take it to one of our fine establishments here in town, and they'll print them up for you with the date on them. They can even number it if you want. So,
Technology is wonderful.
it's a great thing most days, until it doesn't work.
Can't get over it, just people trying to scam this, that's just,
Probably speed to man of a jail.
probably.
So as far as an expiration, it, instead of annually, maybe 12 months from date of purchase. I'm just thinking people that, they're getting ready to sell their house and
Sure.
and it falls through or something like that, or something happens. But is that gonna be more of a pain to track?
The only part about that is, then we go out and we exchange what is at the stores. Ace, City Hall.
Okay.
Pick and Save. Not that big a deal. How many you got?
Okay.
Here's 5 for your 5, and we pull them. That's possible. Not that big a deal. Go down to Pick and Save, get a dozen donuts, exchange tickets.
Alright.
I mean,
What's our
it- it-
annual revenue from ticket sales? Ballpark. Tens of thousands of dollars?
I don't know, Al, I didn't catch that number today when I was starting some of this stuff, but I can get an answer and see where we're at. Okay?
Have we ever talked with the people at Ace Hardware or Pick and Save? I would imagine that they sell them at the service counter.
Yeah, so,
And if they were to sell one and they had to write in, if today is 7/23,
could it be,
expiration date would be 7/23/21. There you are, but then you're crossing over years.
no, we're asking them to ensure they put a date on,
Right,
Yeah.
and there could be another fail system.
yeah,
Right.
and then if,
Okay, well,
Yeah,
here's a
if-
ticket, you write the date in.
then if our staff is collecting them, they can look and, I'm awfully sorry, sir, but it expired yesterday. No,
I
you know.
Right.
well, just so you know, the ticket is expired, but recently where good judgment would be used. If it's from 4 years ago,
Mm,
I'm sorry, sir, now we have there's another fail-safe. You know,
It's, is it only 1 year expiration? Is it 2 years? Is it 5 years? I don't know.
Regardless of what you do, some of your consumers are going to be disgruntled. I think that's just the people business, but
Every day I get disgruntled people.
so you don't want that Facebook page.
Lisa and I are arguing about that, yes. And
Just don't read the comments.
and I want it? Yes.
I think that's the reason why the chamber went to expiration dates though. Because of the carryover type thing, and it's an accounting mess. When you look at revenues in, revenues
liability.
collected, revenues to reimburse. You know,
Yeah.
that $30 was spent at Holiday. You know, and with no expiration date, it could have been from 10 years, you know, could have been from 10 years ago. Well, now, that's a nightmare for anyone to try to balance.
We also, yes, and you're right about the balancing. Before the committee here, we also found couple discrepancies. Ace was really good. They would buy the tickets outright, okay? Pick and Save, we would give them the tickets, and they would reimburse us when they sold them. We couldn't align the revenue and the tickets out there, especially with, not that they were doing anything wrong, we just couldn't figure out how that worked. So, and Lori remembers, we went back to Pick and Save and said we would like you to pay for them up front, then you're more responsible for distributing them. And they came to that conclusion, and also Ace and Pick and Save got together and said, agreed to mark them up as a dollar convenience fee. So the two were working together, so everything is the same between the vendors then, and we were able to accomplish that. That way the revenue comes in immediately. There's not a nightmare. Did Pick and Save pay us? Did they not pay us? You know, and I'm not picking on Pick and Save or anything, or that they did anything wrong. We just wanted to align the businesses together on how we're distributing these.
It's too bad I know this would be difficult, but people could buy them. You have to go, you're going to the compost center anyway.
That's,
You buy your ticket right there.
I didn't know if that was something that had
But-
been brought
Yeah.
up.
I was
Again,
kinda
that's
questioning that too.
that's a liability, and
So,
You're gonna have all this cash there now.
yeah, we don't collect any cash or anything like that anymore at all at DPW or any place. It always has to come to City Hall,
Okay.
okay?
Yeah,
We
just
cut that
clear.
out immediately, okay?
understand?
The only other way that I can think to do this is you go to a boat landing and you gotta buy a ticket.
You gotta pay,
You put your credit card in, or you flip your dollars in there, you get a ticket, okay? It collects it in the machine. They got a ticket, boom. They don't even have to run around, they can go right there, okay, I need 3 tickets, boom, swipe your card, I got 3 tickets, boom. Away we go. That's just,
no, in a perfect world,
Yeah.
and that's the example I was using. You take, you put your $6 launch fee in an envelope, and you slide it in there.
that one I don't like, cause that we
Yeah.
can skirt. That one we can get around.
Yeah, but
But,
if you have somebody there
yep,
watching it, which we
Yeah, so
always do.
people aren't
yep.
buying one ticket for 6 items or
So I
something.
think there's many different ways of doing that, and I did not think about the boat one until, I think you probably jogged a dumb idea out of me.
I don't know.
And we're just brainstorming some stuff now, so.
Would be
Like the-
interesting to know how much money's brought in
I-
every year doing that, and would it be worth putting a machine out there where you could put a credit or debit card in, and your guys out there to monitor and, you know, how many tickets you need, depending, I mean, if you bring a semi out there, one ticket's will not suffice, so.
I like to
But
be
how
a
much
little
money?
careful on that. Carlon is a nice guy, so I don't try to put him into those positions.
Sure.
Right,
Okay, but, let me see if I can pull up a report here. And this may work or may not work. It's not it. I don't think I'm gonna have any luck with that.
Well, if you could, you know,
Let
you
me
could
look a little more here.
email that out to us or something,
Yeah.
Mike, when you get time, that'd be great.
2 more seconds. Well, 4 more minutes. I have it written down, so May. Okay. Okay, now it's really small. Revenue. Compost.
be interesting to have a little machine and you could punch in like 2 queen mattresses, 1 box springs and a couch, and it would
I'm
spit
gonna
out.
have to get it to you.
Spit out a receipt. and
Spit out a
switch over.
receipt, and then you go dump it, and that'd give you a little, nice little cost there. What would one of those machines cost?
I will have to get it to you.
Okay.
Refuge collection, here we go. Public charges for refuge collection, and this is through the end of May. Year-to-date was $5,885.
That's
For the
from Jan-
month was $2,635, so that's quite a bit for a month.
So that's January to May?
That's January to May, and
Okay.
I'll verify that, okay, through June, but just a rough idea on that,
Yeah.
okay?
So it's not just, you know, it's not a few $100s, it's more than
No,
that.
Yeah.
I
That's
have
good to know.
about, I budgeted for revenue about $10,000,
Okay, beautiful.
so,
Those
Let
little
quarantine
machines.
clean out.
Again.
Yeah, could very well be.
Yeah.
I know that place was busy, so many people off, and,
You might as well clean up your basement while you're not doing anything.
yeah.
well, that's what happened. Oh, I'm off subject, never mind.
Okay. Any suggestions for agenda items for the next meeting? If you have some today, that'd be great. If you don't, feel free to send them to me, or, Mike, or those things. And, we can set them up. Probably gonna wanna look at a columbarium update.
I can give you that now.
No, you can't, because it's not on the agenda.
Where's staff reports and?
We don't have that on the agenda, and perhaps that might be something that
add
we
that.
could add
We
for
could
the
add.
next meeting.
Will do.
Okay?
Thank you.
Yep. Well, we're not walking down that path again.
No, I know, I've been very
So,
careful.
But that's just a suggestion, where we're at with that, that whole project. And so we can get that entered in the minutes and update the council and the community. But if you have other items, certainly, let Lori or I or Mike know, and we will get them on the agenda for our next meeting.
We'll see if we can do some research on this
Yeah,
stuff.
that'd be great. Maybe what other communities do, or whatever, if they have a similar system. The next meeting date, generally what we do is we have Karen work her magic with sending out some dates and getting the meeting together. Generally the second to third week of the
Yeah.
month is what we've used in the past, and it seems to work well for the old group. And does that work well for both of you?
Yep.
We start at 5:30. And I try to pride myself on meetings last no more than an hour, so we can keep things moving. And Mr. Rogers and Mr. Litico very much like that attitude, so we want to keep those gentlemen happy also. So we'll have Karen take a look at that. With that, if there's nothing else, we need one last motion.
Motion to adjourn?
Second?
A motion to adjourn at 6:23 PM. Any discussion? All those in favor signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Those opposed? Motion carries. Thank you, everyone. Have a great evening.
You too.